Hey, it is Friday, August 17th, I think, yeah. I'm just messing around with a really old song of mine. Someday I'll have to tell you the story about an old roommate's girlfriend's parrot named Rico. But I'll save that for another day. Just want to do a quick rundown of what happened this week here at Totally Guitars, and then have a bunch of other little things to tell you about. So, our Target members had some fun things happen. We had a couple of student reviews on, what was it? Who'll Stop the Rain? And little James Taylor, as I recall. Something in the Way She Moves, a song where that lesson, of course, goes way into the history of the song and how it affected the Beatles and George Harrison and accounted for... Well, anyway, sorry, getting wrapped up in playing. Been having a fun time lately, playing as I've told you the last few weeks, a bunch of old songs. I had a couple fly on the wall lessons with, oh, actually one that I forgot to tell you about last week, or something I forgot about last week. Oh, it was Russian Lullaby with Beaker, and then this week we put up another little part of Beaker's thing. So I really got to thank Beaker for dropping in here back in April and providing us with a boatload of info and videos for the fly on the wall thing. So it's kind of why we're able to double up on maybe sometimes 2 of these a week now. Hope everybody's enjoying them. The other one was on, so both of these lessons that featured Beaker were kind of Jerry Garcia influenced, because one was Russian Lullaby from an album he did with David Grisman, and then also the other was Peggy-O, a song that he performed a lot solo. Grateful Dead did it a few times and stuff. So, but then as far as songs go, two kind of big deals, I think. One was Percy's song that I had alluded to a little while ago. We looked at the Fairport convention version of it. Very coincidentally, I probably was shooting that just a few days before the request came up, and I think it's probably because I was messing around with it maybe on the news last week or the week before or something like that. So sometimes there are hints in the news as to what I'm shooting like right now. So far that's maybe happening. And anyway, that Fairport tune was from their album Unhalf Bricking. Very cool version of Bob Dylan's song. So might have more on that in the near future. I'm not sure yet where we're going with that. And of course the other biggie was something that's been floating around on the list for a long time. Townsend Special Pinball Wizard. It was kind of fun to get to that. It's again a song I've shown people for way too many years, and but just never got around to shooting the video for it. So glad people kind of like that. And okay, well, now the main thing the big thing I wanted to talk about was I want to get to a couple of the questions that went on the forum, asking about pentatonic patterns and how they're numbered and some things like that. And everybody's talking about pattern 6 being this one, going into pattern 1. Important thing to remember about the difference between pattern 6, when we talk about it as the starting point. It's a starting point if you're playing in a minor key or playing blues. But if you're playing in a major key, you want the starting point to be pattern 1. So if I'm playing in A minor, I'm playing Cowgirl in the Sand. I'm going to take pattern 6 up to the 5th fret. But if I'm playing Dark Hollow, it's going to be pattern 1 on A, which would put pattern 6 back on F sharp. So pattern 1 goes at the tonic, on the tonic if it's major, pattern 6 if it's minor or blues. Just kind of a brief overview, but that's enough on that. I think everybody's figured out why I call them 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 as well. It's not just me. I didn't make that up. But also, somebody asked about a key change and how do you know if something's changed keys? And that's an interesting question, because if you in order to say you've changed keys, you have to establish a new key. It doesn't just mean you've used a chord outside the key. So you could play a progression that went something like this. Now what I'm doing is going from C to E minor to F, all chords in the key of C, and then to B. B is not in this key, but it's not a key change because it never established a new key. It was just a chord outside the key being used as part of the progression. In order to be considered a key change, you have to establish the new key. Listen to Morning Has Broken. Starts off with chords in the key of D, and then throws in a chord not in the key, G7. And by the time that little series of chords is done, it's landed on C, and we're in C. Starting to change keys now. Then later on, you hear the progression from C doing all kinds of weird things, going in circles, and by the time it lands on a D chord, now that's not how it went. I just made that up, but it does. You can follow my lesson on that and figure out what it really does. But so modulating is establishing a new key. It's a different thing when you just use a chord outside the key. A chord progression that uses G, B flat, C, and D just qualifies as kind of a bluesy twist on the key of G. Okay, I think that's it. That's all I want to talk about there. Did want to tell you one thing that I did this week that was really fun. And I don't get to many concerts, but Tuesday night went out and saw Yes and Yes and Procol Harum. We're playing here in San Jose. Now Procol Harum's down to one original member, but they were fabulous because all you need to sound like Procol Harum is Gary Brooker playing piano and singing the songs that he wrote with Keith Reed. And they were just, this guy, almost 70 years old, just still has the voice. Unbelievable. Yes was just as good, even with their new young singer, relatively young, John Davison, who's come out of a band called Glass Hammer. I don't know how many people are familiar with. The evolution of Yes and the rotating singers, much like Spinal Tap and their drummers. But I digress. Anyway, John was fabulous, and of course with Steve and Chris and Alan playing their pretty much original parts, it was great. Jeff Downs had the unenviable task of playing Rick Wakeman's virtuoso keyboard parts, and he did a pretty good job. A few of them were just a little beyond his capabilities, but it's just not quite as clear as Rick would have done it. But if you get a chance, I know they're out on tour, and I think Procol Harum is opening. They play for an hour exactly, and they played some unusual songs. They played, of course, their big hit, Whiter Shade of Pale, and opened with some later ones, Wall Street Blues and an Old English Dream. That wasn't the beginning, but then they played stuff like Hamburg and Simple Sister and A Salty Dog. It was great. They play for an hour, Yes plays for 2, and that's the show, half an hour break. So if you get a chance, check them out. And I think I had a puzzle I wanted to get to, but I think I'm kind of running short on time. I don't know if I think I can tell you about the puzzle. It's been a long time since I've done puzzles. Some of our old members would remember that we used to throw out math puzzles and logic puzzles every once in a while. This week's puzzle came from a real life situation. One of my cars needed transmission fluid. So we took out about a third of it, put in a third new stuff. Okay, so it had a third new fluid. No problem. Then we did it again. Took out a third of the new mixture and put in a third of new stuff again. So, quick question is, what is now the percentage of good stuff to bad stuff? And if we did it a third time, what would it be? I think I got the answers, but I'd like some. Wrench, you out there? Log in, buddy, but keep it secret. So, alright, anybody who likes those types of puzzles, post some. We need a puzzle section on the forum. That's a great idea. Oh well. Okay, I am going to get back to playing. I can't remember where I am in the practicing mode. I'm working on this duet, actually. something like that. I'm trying to learn a second part to a song that I wrote a long time ago, and my friend Rich played it on the album. So you guys have probably figured out what that is by now, but if not, listen to some of the old stuff and let me know if you'd like me to get to more finger picking tunes, because I'm thinking it's time for more of that. It's time to slow down on the rock and roll songs and get into cool finger picking. It's been a while. So, okay, one last thing. I may be gone next week and might not be able to get to the news. So if no news happens next week on Friday or anytime, don't panic. Some of our old-time members might remember a few years ago when I had to go deliver a child to college. I'm on my way to New York to deliver the last child to college next week, and hoping to catch a day of the U.S. Open on Monday. But in any case, don't panic. If the news doesn't happen Friday, I might just have to mail in a text report or something. We'll see what happens, because I don't think I'm taking a guitar this time, and I don't think I can sit in front of the camera without a guitar. But okay, enough for today. Send in your puzzle answers, send in your guesses on the songs that we're playing like usual, and there weren't too many, I don't think. And I will see you in 2 weeks, if not next week.